Welcome back. In this video, we are going to implement the functionality to select a date from this date picker, as you can see here. So we can then select one of the dates, press OK, and the text will be populated here depending on the format that we set. So I'm using the German format here, for example, 23rd of January 2020. All right, so let's get started. The first thing we need to do is to make the field non-focusable. So let's go to our activity at Happy Place, and in there we have added text fields, plenty of them, and I want to find the one with the date. So here we have this app-compat edit text, and I'm going to add the two properties focusable. So I'm going to set that to false, so we cannot focus this edit text, and then also focusable in touch mode. We're gonna set that to false as well. So now we cannot click on it anymore in order to select it and add a date in there. So we will not be able to just add a text in there. But what we're going to do instead, of course, is going to implement our own code, which allows us to open the date picker. Whenever we do that, we need to have certain variables. So first of all, a private variable, which I'm going to call cal, standing for calendar, and will be calendar.getInstance as the name. Okay, and then we need to import the calendar class. So I'm going to use the Java util calendar here. And then I need a date set listener. So here private, and this one will be a late init variable. So I'm going to initialize it later on, and I'm going to call that one date set listener. And it will be of this type, date picker dialog on date set listener. All right, now in the onCreate, that's where I'm actually going to initialize it. So here, let's add a date listener initializer here. So I'm going to use the date picker dialog dot on date set listener. So it's very similar to a set navigation on click listener. So this one sets a navigation on click listener or a on click listener here, but here we are actually waiting for someone to set a date. So we are opening the date picker dialog, and then we are waiting for the user to select the date. Okay, so that's why we're going to use this on date set listener, but this time with the curly brackets. And what I need to pass in here is the view, and actually maybe it's easier if we use this one here. All right, okay, so it gave me everything now, view, year, month, day of month. So instead of me having to enter all of those manually, I'm just gonna let it help me. And now I can go ahead and set those. So I'm gonna set the calendar, set calendar dot year as being the year, whatever is selected by the user. And then I set the month. So calendar month, and not March, but month, which will be the month of year. And actually this one is called month, so I'm just going to use month. And here, of course, it's the month with capital letters. Okay, so you can see here we have many different options when it comes to the calendar that we can set. And finally, I'm going to set the day of month. So set calendar dot day of month, which will be our day of month. And why do we need to add day of month here instead of just day? Well, it's because day could also be the day of the week, for example, which would be Monday, Tuesday, and so forth. Or is it the day of the month, which is going to be, for example, the 2nd or the 3rd of a specific month. And then what I want to do is to make this whole class an on-click listener, or follow the instructions of the view dot on click listener. All right, so I need to import view here. And once I do that, you can see that my add happy place activity requires me to implement the members, which is the on click method. Okay, so now I have this on-click method, and in here I'm going to take care of all the different on-click events because I'm going to have plenty of them. And yeah, I just want to do it another way this time. So instead of always having the on-click listener here, so for example, for the save button, save here button, save, set on-click listener, instead of doing it here, I'm just gonna have this on-click listener up here or down here with on-click. Okay, so the on-click listener is my whole class, but this on-click is going to be where we implement the whole code for it. And the way we do that is with the when keyword. So here we look at the view, and it just gave me this view name, which is the V. So whatever view that was clicked on is going to be this V. Okay, and I'm gonna check the ID. So I'm gonna see if the ID is, for example, r.id, and here you can see the different elements that we have. So if it's the date, so edit text date, which means this one here. So if somebody clicks on this app compat edit text, then I want to run some code, and we do that with a lambda expression here. So we can see when somebody presses this button, I want to execute some code. So I'm going to open up the date picker dialog, which allows me to then select a date. So here I need to pass in the context, and I'm gonna say this at happy places or place activity is going to be my context. And then we need to pass in the date set listener. So the listener, and I'm gonna use the date set listener that we prepared earlier. Then we need to pass in the year. So calendar.get calendar.year. Then we need to have the, and actually it's year with capital letters. Then calendar.get, and this time it's the calendar.month, and finally calendar.get calendar.day of month. Okay, now this is a pretty long one, so let's put that into different lines here so that it's a little more readable. Okay, so we have this date picker dialog where we need to pass in the context, we need to pass in the date set listener or a listener, date listener, and then we have our different date specifics for such as the year, the month, and the day of the month. And then finally, I want to show this date picker dialog. So here we need to add show. All right, that by itself is unfortunately not enough, because we also need to make sure that our edit text is actually following this on-click listener. So et date dot set on click listener, and then I'm just gonna say this. Why this? Well, because this class, our add happy place activity, is our on-click listener. So it's on-click event here, or on-click function, which takes care of the whole on-click events of all of them, is going to take care of this one as well. So we just say, okay, add this there. Okay, now we can test it, even though that's not done everything yet. Of course, we still need to change the text and actually put it into the edit text. So let's see. Let's click on here and then click on the date, and you can see the date picker opens up. I click on OK, and of course the date is not entered in there. So that's the next thing we need to do. And I'm going to do that with a function. So I'm just going to create a new function here, private fun, called update date in view. And in there, first of all, we need to have a format. So each time we're working with dates, you have to have a certain format. So I'm going to call this one my format, and I'm going to use the year, which is the German format. Of course, you can use another format here if you like. So month, day, year, if you prefer another direction. Okay. And then we need a simple date formatter. So val SDF is going to be our simple date format, which will take the format that we created, so my format, and translate it. So locale dot get default. So it's going to get the default date format of the locale, so of the settings of your phone, and then et_date set text. So now we can go ahead and set the text. And how do we set the text? Well, I'm just going to use our SDF, so our simple date format, and I'm going to say, please format the date of our cal.time. So just use the time of our calendar, and of course it's not going to be a string yet, so I need to make it a string by using the toString method here. All right, now update in view of course needs to be called at one point, and what would be the best point for it to be called? Well, I would say once we selected the date, and that is in our onDateSetListener. So here, once we're done with all the rest, we can go ahead and update the date in the view. Okay, so once we have the calendar, because in the update in view method we are using the calendar.time, and it's good if we set that before, and that's what we do, we set it. So that's why it's also important that calendar as a global variable here, or a field. All right, so let's get started. So there we are. Let's press start. Let's click the date. Let's select the date, and you can see it's pasted in there. All right, perfect. So that's our date picker, and in the next video we are going to add some more features. So see you there.